We got to go back to what you were saying about Burisma, though, because I want to do, elaborate and correct a little bit. So you had mentioned that, Joe Biden, he goes to the prosecutor and says, shut down the investigation into the corruption of my son. Otherwise, you're not getting the $1 billion. More specifically, it was that Joe Biden's son, for some reason, was appointed to a board member of a Ukrainian energy company. And a lot of people wonder why that was the case. Hunter Biden's like, look, I was an executive and I have experience and I'm a lawyer. And it's like, sure, okay, fine, say whatever you want. But the media started saying there was no corruption investigation into Burisma. It wasn't into Hunter Biden. It was into the company. And Mykola Zlochevsky, the guy who founded the company. That was a lie. Matt Taibbi did excellent reporting on this, breaking down how there was at least a dozen investigations. And I'll tell you the kicker, it's been a while since I covered all this stuff, because I was talking about how I had to go to foreign media to find this stuff out. The media control of the narrative is so pronounced that they wouldn't actually do the basic investigation into what Joe Biden did. And what Joe Biden did was criminal and corrupt, based on what I've researched. To put it simply, Joe Biden comes in, goes to the head of the president of Ukraine and says, either you fire the prosecutor or you're not getting the $1 billion loan. He brags about it on video. So they do. Now, the prosecutor, Viktor Shokin, says he was investigating corruption. Matt Taibbi confirms there was an investigation. But I'll tell you this, the funny thing is, after they get rid of the prosecutor, so Biden says, we got rid of the prosecutor because he wasn't doing the investigation. Funny story. After the prosecutor got ousted, Zlochevsky returned to Ukraine from exile, got his money unfrozen. When Donald Trump comes in, starts poking around, dude flees to Monaco. Tell me who is actually investigating corruption? So I'll tell you this, based on, and this is an older story, but this is what the media does. We see it over and over again with how they frame things. Hunter Biden's story, when that came out, the laptop and the leaked details, and we knew, like, okay, this is legit, it's confirmed. What happened? Big tech came in and shut the whole thing down.
Absolutely. Then that's my whole point. So, people ask about the 2020 election and was it fair and all this other stuff. And I think there are a lot of different layers to that. But one of the reasons why Joe Biden is where he is today is because of what you just said with regards to censoring stories that were negative about him. And so we're seeing today, his poll numbers are falling for, I think, a litany of reasons. But, things are getting to a point, whether it's, lackluster job growth. I mean, the miss this last month, like I think, 725,000 jobs expected, 225,000 added, and then inflation, which is obviously, we talked about this in the last, brutal. And it primarily affects the middle class and seniors on fixed incomes, but also you're looking at a wholesale collapse of American foreign policy doctrine. Right now, you're seeing that most notably in Afghanistan. But the things that are happening now are almost impossible to censor, and they don't really fit into the media narrative. And the way that that the situation in Afghanistan was as bad as it was is because MSNBC and CNN were actually reporting on it. So if they're reporting on it, it was 10 times worse than what it actually, the way we're seeing it here.
Well, come on. Let's face it. MSNBC and the left media loves war. When was the first time they praised Trump? When he dropped bombs on Syria. Yeah. That's when he became presidential. We talked about this before. The New York Times and MSNBC helped lie us into the war in Iraq in 2002, 2003. They have on Meet the Press. There's commercials for Boeing. Is the average Meet the Press person watching Meet the Press in the market for a 737? Or is it a payoff of some sort?
I want to show you guys this. We'll talk about media manipulation. A lot of people like talking about how CNN, MSNBC, the ratings are in the gutter. They couldn't even break 1 million. Their key demo viewership is like 80,000 to 100,000. Then I get people messaging being like, oh, Tim, you get way more views. And we're sitting here like, man, our viewership in the key demo is way higher than MSNBC. But it's not about MSNBC. It's about how they're getting on social media. Let me ask you, it's really interesting when we're talking about this manipulation stuff, how it is that someone like Vosh, who is I think he's 26, he's a socialist, and he's pro-Biden. I'm like, how does that happen? How does a young, edgy, upstart socialist come to support the crony, capitalist, corrupt candidate of the establishment party? Let me show you this thing on Reddit right here, and we'll see if I can actually, you can sort of see the image. Maybe I can, okay, I can't get the image. This is r/political humor. Political humor, they say. It's got 1.429 million readers. I go on Reddit all the time. And when you're on Reddit, you'll typically see these memes from political humor. Now, is it sane, rational, and honest humor? No, it's manipulation. How do I know? Their image on political humor is a man. You can't really see it on the camera. Sorry, I can't show it to you guys. You can sort of see it. There's a mother, a daughter, and a son, and they're all looking at an open door as a man is walking up the sidewalk to the house, like coming home from work. The family members are all holding knives as the dad is walking up, coming home from work, wiping the sweat off his brow. On the man walking in, it says Joe Biden. On the family members holding knives, hiding, it says military-industrial complex and mainstream media. As if to imply the mainstream media and the military-industrial complex don't like Joe Biden and are waiting to surprise attack him. The narrative that you get when you go on these big tech platforms, these social media platforms, is that Joe Biden is being unfairly smeared. What did we hear recently? I can't remember who said it. They were like, the big difference between Joe Biden and Donald Trump is that Biden doesn't have a media apparatus willing to defend him at all costs like Trump did. What? Gaslighting. Like, who in their right mind who remembered anything about this is like, yes, the media loved Trump. They were praising him nonstop.
I remember Biden being the worst candidate in 2008. Absolute, most boring. Like, what is this old piece of trash doing on stage? Who is he, first of all, and why is he up there? He's terrible, annoying. And then Obama appointed him. I'm like, what the heck? The worst choice on the stage, and Obama stuck him in. And now this nobody is president. How quickly people, I mean, if you don't remember watching 2008 CNN debates of Biden being but old school war hawk on stage. I mean, sorry, Tim, what were you going to say?
No, you're right. I don't want to interrupt you. I'm saying you're right.
How in 10 years, how much things can change is just shocking to me.
But what you need to understand is the 10-year-old in 2008 was not watching that debate, and they voted for Biden this time around. That's what happens.
I missed his 1988 plagiarism debacle. I don't know. Do you guys vividly remember?
Yeah. Where he lifted whole parts of a UK labor leader's life and assumed it as his own? Is Joe Biden? Is that his actual name? Is he really named Joe Biden? I don't know.
His name's Joe Bob Jr. You know that? I'm not kidding.
Well, I don't. So he took a UK
Joseph
labor
Robinette Biden.
Yeah.
Joe Bob
Jr. Yeah, Joe Bob Jr.
Yeah.
What is Rob? Wait, how did
actually? I don't know if Bob is short for Robinette.
Is Robinette is Bob short for?
I'm just kidding.
Oh. I was like, how is it that I don't know this?
You threw Sean
So
off
he plagiarized this guy in 1988. Basically, had to dip out of the presidential election. He had to resign from the election process or whatever, and then. He stepped out of the limelight for a decade. People forgot who he was, and then
he was still
a senator.
He was like I never even heard his name from between 88 and 2006. Did you guys?
Wasn't he the guy who looked at Clarence Thomas and accused him of being a rapist or something like that?
That sounds right.
I wasn't politically activated until 2006.
Joe Biden said that he was number one in his college class. No, he was like in the bottom third. I mean, he lifted, like as I mentioned, whole sections of some UK labor leader's life. I mean, Joe Biden has been a fantastical liar. Now he says he's against the Iraq War, but he voted for the Iraq War. I mean, he's just lies almost about everything. There was something that he was lying. About going to the place in Western Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, I remember. I can't remember the name, but I remember
in Squirrel Hill. It's right in Squirrel Hill. I can't.
Was it like a synagogue?
Yeah, it was a synagogue in Squirrel. My God, the tree of life. Yeah, the tree of life. The tree of life. He said he was there. He wasn't even there. So he just lies about everything.
But this is the thing today. When you have, you don't need a candidate when you have the media, when they're all lining up to say whatever they need to say and suppress what needs to be suppressed. As long as you have that, Joe Biden can call a lid, go in his basement, and go to sleep. That's what he did. Isn't it amazing? I love the Atlantic article. Stay alive, Joe Biden. All we need is your corporeal form. They just needed a name. You know why Obama chose Biden?
Someone probably told him to.
Apparently what they were saying was that there was concerns that voters would be worried that, the first black president wouldn't win. So they said, you take an old white man and put him as the VP, and then racist Americans would vote for it. That's a lot of the rhetoric I remember hearing back in the day. So
is this at all surprising, though? I mean, you had, 8 years ago, somebody at Yale saying, what college was it? They said there was a Klan meeting, and it was like a white sheet covering like a projector or something like that.
Oh,
and then
that's right. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
No, it was like they looked through a window.
Yeah.
And they saw like a sheet over something, and they said there was a Klan meeting, and then they were like, turns out someone just draped a sheet over a projector.
I forgot about that.
These people are insane.
And then a reality show host gets elected president, and then a whole country allows itself to be shut down for a spicy flu, and there's still people out there who think that it's killing. There are surveys taken all the time that are like, how many people have died? How many people do you think, percentage people do you think have died in this area? Oh, at least 20%.
There's a poll that came out the other day that said like 10% or something. I don't know.
So
don't quote me the numbers.
Of course you can get a corpse elected.
10% of Democrats believe that like something like, or wait, no, 35% of Democrats believe that 10%, like that 10% of people die with COVID.
So this is
right.
This is what happens when you have people who blindly believe whatever the media tells them. And I'm wondering what happened, because I know people who didn't used to, they used to have critical thinking abilities. You know, friends of mine, gone. All of a sudden it's like they turn on CNN and they're like, Joe Rogan ate livestock medicine. They go, wow. Why would he do that? What an idiot.
Critical thinking in today's day and age is something that is going by the wayside pretty fast. Liberalism was all about, back in the day, in the wake of the Vietnam War, if the government told you to eat white bread, you were eating wheat bread. It didn't matter. Liberalism was about tolerance. It was about free thinking. It was about critical thinking. But the modern day left has sort of shifted from, critical thinking, free tolerance, to almost a strict adherence to believing everything that the government says,
even when it contradicts it.
You see this in reporters. Like, you see this in reporters, and I learned this during my first congressional run, where we would be asking questions that I think perfectly legitimate questions about the election, and these questions were important because we should all aspire to make our elections better every cycle, and the only way that you do that is by asking important questions and hope that we can all work together to make things better. But what would happen is the governor would release a statement in response to us with no empirical evidence backing it up, and it would just be like, oh, you guys are screwed up, you know what we were talking about. And then the media would regurgitate those very same talking points. So these are conspiracy theorists. So they're not like, their job is to speak truth to power, yet what they do is just regurgitate talking points from the authority.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.